Now that we have a concept of how two-point perspective works and some of the necessary guides and ideas you need to hold while drawing in two-point perspective, I want us to create a series of birdhouses. Now, I know I don't normally tell you what it is I want you to draw, but on this practice, I want to keep to birdhouses. That is because a birdhouse, unlike a city street, is up off the ground. So we have our horizon line, we have our vanishing points, but where each birdhouse that we draw sits doesn't necessarily impact the other ones on the page. So I want you to create 3 birdhouses. Where you put them on your horizon line, it can be above, below, in the middle. However you want to go about creating your birdhouses is fine with me. We're going to do 3 birdhouses though. And I'm going to draw this first one on the screen for you. And then I'll follow up with my other 2, because we're going to draw 3 as pictures completed. Just so you don't have to sit through and watch me draw for, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour. I know I would lose your attention much too quickly for that to be a good use of my time. So far I have the right side of my birdhouse, the left face of my birdhouse, and the bottom. I'm going to put a little stand for this guy to sit on. Okay, so unlike a box, here my face stops, which is why I use this guide line, this vanishing point over here to the right of my station point to create this face. For the left side of the station point, it's a house shape. So my guides are going to be a little different. I'm going to stop here. I may change it, but I think that's pretty in set with this other side. Remember when I was doing my Legos, I needed to find the center. So I'm going to find the center of this bottom square so I can find the middle. And this here is where I'll start the peak for my house. So I like the way that comes off. I'm just going to create an angle there. And I overshot my spot. This is so that the roof can overlap the walls of my house. Notice I'm not using vanishing point right now, because if I did, I'd have a long wanky side of my house. The vanishing point is more about straight lines. I know this is a straight line, I'm sorry. Lines that coincide with where our line needs to vanish to. Okay, so I'm going to use a parallel line. Don't know about you, but I'm loving all these math terms we're using. Another parallel line, and that gives me this top edge of my roof. Now, in order to get this line underneath, I do need to use the vanishing point over to the right. Now, maybe you're asking why, and that's because we are to the left of the station point, but instead of trying to get part of this left face, we're trying to get part of the back face, that back side of the house. So that's why we're going to be using this other vanishing point. Let's do a little lip on the roof on the right face. So I get my line in there, and parallel again to the line I've already drawn. Now, the top of the roof is going to need that station point because this is part of the top of our square, so it's going to shift back to our vanishing point to make it look like it's getting smaller and fits in the space of the house. I'm going to make that line a little darker so it's easier for you to see. Okay, so this again is part of the side top. It's not going to follow our vanishing point rule, so I'm going to go parallel, and now we have a birdhouse. Okay, so in order for a bird to go into our house, it needs to have a door. To do that, I'm going to use my vanishing point to make that face of the square, and I'm going to use our crisscross rule of connecting the corners in order to find our middle. Without knowing where the middle is, we don't know where to put our bird hole. So there's my middle. I'm going to come in and make this little circle. Now my bird can go in. Because it's a piece of wood, it needs to have an echoing ledge to the inside. I'm going to black this guy in so you can tell it's nice and dark, and space is there for the birds to go in. Okay, and in order for our birds to come out and rest and see what's going on and make sure there's no prey around, I'm going to give them a little stand, a little piece of wood for them to sit on. And this is really tall. That looks funny to have all that open space. I think I'm going to create another hole up here. So I'm going to take that line and I'm going to follow the same guides because I really don't have the space to make the square up there to know. So I'm just going to go straight up. And since it's straight above, directly above that first hole, the center and the spacing should be the same. Now if it was like a little hole right here, yeah, we would have to figure out where the spacing goes, but we don't have to. Yay, yes. So I've got a top hole now. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to give it spacing to show that it's open. And give our little birdies a peg to stand on. Sorry, the round part of my ruler was in the way. Okay, so now we have the bulk of our first birdhouse drawn. Remember, you do not have to make your birdhouse look like mine. I just wanted to draw one for you live as an example, so that way you could kind of see and visualize what has to go into this to make it look realistic. Okay, so now we have a bottom of a floating birdhouse. Maybe your birdhouse, oops, sorry, has a chain on the top and it's hanging from a tree. Mine is going to, just so I can give you a little more of an opportunity to see how all those tools and techniques work, mine is going to be on a wooden stand. So I'm going to find my center. Every time I say that, I feel like I'm doing yoga. Find your center. Breathe in peace. Breathe out any negative emotions. Okay, so now you can see where the center. Now you can see where the center of the bottom of my birdhouse would be. I'm going to zoom back out. And I'm going to lighten that line a little bit so I don't get messed up. But my post needs to go right through the middle of that guy. So Make sure I'm parallel. And if you notice, I kind of twisted for it to fit up with the bottom of the birdhouse. I don't want that. I need to stay parallel to the earth, the vanishing point. There's my center. That would be the very middle of my block, so I'm going to push over this way just a hair and give myself the outer edge of my post. I want it to appear a little bigger on this side since we have more space on the block here. So there is my outer leg, and here's my station point. Okay, find my guidelines and make this wood stand fit up to my first birdhouse. So there you go. There is one example of a 2-hold birdhouse in 2-point perspective. Blah! Okay, I'm gonna create another birdhouse here, and show you the 3 together. You need to create 3 birdhouses. How the style and where you place them is up to you, but I want to see 3 different ones so I know that you understand what 2-point perspective looks like, from on the line, above the line, below the line, and how they interact with each other. I'll be back in just a minute with my finished product to show you how that should look.